that we are under the table giving. But once again, we are subordinating what's best for this nation to Obama's political whims, desires, and needs. And we've got a Republican Party that's apparently willing to help him. This payroll tax cut, it's chump change compared to the things that we face. All of these people claim that they're conservatives when they run out and push their subscriptions and ask for donations and promote all of their social activities and so forth. But they don't act like it much. The key in this editorial, the key line in the Wall Street Journal editorial is this. We wonder if the House Republicans might end up re-electing the president before the 2012 campaign event begins in earnest. And there are some... That's the key line in the Wall Street Journal editorial. And a lot of blogs are picking that up, and they're agreeing with the Wall Street Journal. Oh, no, if these Republicans keep this, oh, my God, we're going to go ahead, we're going to, for all intents and purposes, we're going to elect Obama before we even get to November. So... No, I'm not. That's the line. It's the key line in their editorial. We wonder if the House Republicans might end up re-electing the president before the 2012 campaign even begins in earnest because of not giving him his 2-month extension on the payroll tax cuts. So what we have here, the Republican establishment scared to death of Obama's class warfare campaign. Is that right? Is the Republican establishment now lost faith in the free enterprise system? Is that it? That we can't win that argument with Obama over the next year in the middle of what he has done to this economy? We are willing to say that we will cede the election to Obama if we don't give him his 2-month tax cut extension? So, am I wrong here? The Wall Street Journal believes that 11 months from now, the election's going to turn on Obama draining tens of billions of dollars from Social Security? Because that's what's happening. I can't emphasize enough. My whole life as a Republican, and you too, you've been hearing about all these horrible things we want to do to old people. We want to cut their Social Security. I heard Alan Cranston say in 1987 that we wanted to kick old people out of their houses by cutting Social Security. I've heard other Democrats say that we want old people eating dog food and not having enough medicine. Republicans are going to end Medicare when it's the Democrats who are doing all of this. And Obama, right before our very eyes, is underfunding, cutting funding for Social Security up to $500 million. $500 billion, put it that way. That's the correct way to express it. And so, in the process of, we're just going to sit around and let that happen. Obama's going to cut Social Security funding by $500 billion, an amount that equals less than $20 a week for most people in the form of this middle-class tax cut. You know, if Americans can be bought for $20 a week, then we may be in a hopeless situation anyway. But let me just close this out by saying that the Democrats have insisted for 75 years that Social Security is an insurance program, that you are contributing a percentage of your paycheck into your own account, which is part of a trust fund, to pay for your retirement benefit. It is not. They insist it is not welfare. It is not an entitlement program. It is insurance. They've told us this for 75 years, like an annuity program. Meanwhile, every argument they are making now strips bare the big lie that they've been telling for 75 years. If this payroll tax cut is a tax cut, then Social Security is not an insurance program. And yet we're going to run around and let them have it both ways because we're afraid of the optics, or we're afraid because Obama's African American? Is it a welfare or entitlement program, and the money people are having withheld from their paychecks is not an insurance contribution? Then it's a tax. Pure and simple. But that's all. That's not. They've sold this as an insurance program, and all of a sudden now we're cutting taxes on this program. It's a welfare or entitlement program. The money people are having withheld from their paychecks is not an insurance contribution, it's tax. That's what they're telling us now. Okay, then you are being taxed to pay for somebody else's retirement. Now, the fact that the Republican establishment cannot make that case and other arguments tells me that they may have already surrendered. And this is a big difference between us and the establishment. They're in this defensive posture. I've told you, I said I'm Greta. How many times? A lot of people inside the Republican establishment secretly don't even believe Obama can be beaten. And that's why they want Romney, because they think at least Romney will help them take the Senate. He'll lose less down the ballot than Gingrich or some conservative will. But we conservatives, and you Tea Party activists, you don't want to give up, and you haven't given up. And you don't want to accept this propaganda from the left. We insist on challenging it. We insist on fighting it because there's no other way to save the country. And continually playing these games, letting the Democrats rewrite the language, change the definition of things, get away with false accusations against us, never do anything about it, constantly stay on defense. Looky, all of a sudden, Social Security at this point in time is not the third rail of American politics. Now, I'm going to tell you something. You put a Republican in the White House, you let a Republican talk about cutting the funding of Social Security by the amount Obama's talking about, and you watch utter hell unleashed by the Democrat Party. They wouldn't get caught up in the 2-month or 1-year tax cut, middle-class tax cut, payroll tax cut. What they'd be focusing on is, see, the Republicans want to cut Social Security. And they'd be talking about, how can they dare? This is the only funding mechanism of Social Security, and they want us to give a tax cut to the rich. That's what they'd be saying. That's how they'd be playing it. We're accepting their terms. Once again, we're accepting their premise, and we're acting frightened. We said, okay, we got to go along. Look at, we got to let Obama have this so the issue goes away, because otherwise he's going to be seen as king tax cutter. Well, but he's not. Now, I mentioned earlier how this is actually going to be paid for, whether it's 2 months or 1 year. I'll tell you that when we come back.